Hey guys, welcome to Your Best Interviews. My name is Eric Smith. Thank you so much for spending the time with me. I know there's a lot of places you can go to get this information, so I appreciate you spending it here with me. Today, what I want to talk about is salary and how to answer the question of, what's your salary expectation? What's your salary history? I'm just going to preface, this is a bigger conversation and there's a lot of content around this. I have other videos. My website has different tricks and tactics and actual content around this that can help you put yourself in the best position to make sure you're not leaving money on the table. But what I want to talk about today is something that it's quick, it's to the point, but most importantly, it's going to help you not negotiate against yourself. And that's making sure that they are defining a salary range or a pay range before you do. And the reason I say to do this, and there's a lot of schools of thought to this. Talking about salary and when to ask about salary, it's a tightrope walk, right? You don't want to ask too early, you don't want to ask too late, and you certainly don't want to waste your time on something where, your expectations here, the range is here, it's too big of a gap. But what I would say is the goal is to get them to volunteer a range before you do. And so what I mean by that is, if every role that comes open, they have a salary range defined for that hire. It's always budgeted. They know exactly whether it's a startup, whether it's a big company, they have budgeted what they can pay to hire somebody in that role. And so they have a range defined. And if they don't, that's great for you because then you can go really high. But I would say 99% of the time they have a range defined. They know exactly what they can pay and what they should be paying. And so you want to understand what that range is before you volunteer what your expected number is. And the reason for that is because if your number is lower than that range, then they're going to adjust the range down to you, right? You leave money on the table. They're not going to say, oh, that's way lower than what we were going to pay you, so we'll still keep you in this range. And so the whole goal and strategy here is to make sure that you're, again, not negotiating against yourself and leaving money on the table. And so feel it out. If they're not bringing up salary range and you've kind of got into the nitty gritty around what the role is, and typically I would say don't ask about salary range in the pre-screen. Unless they bring it up, I would say salary is probably better, or ranges are probably better discussed with the hiring manager, or maybe a second interview before you actually come in for an in-person. But what I would try and do is understand what that range is prior to giving your number. So if they ask you first, so what's your salary expectation for this role, which is typically the question that somebody pre-screening is going to ask, I would turn it around on them, right? It's super transparent what you're doing. You're trying to get them to get the range out first. But it's more awkward for them to try and flip it back to you. And so they'll tend to just give you the range. Again, they have the range defined. So I would say, I'm so glad you brought up salary range. I was going to ask about that. I wasn't sure exactly when. I wanted to learn more about the role. Do you have a range defined for this position? That's all you have to say. And then just shut up. Don't say anything, right? Like I said, it's more awkward for them to come back and be like, well, we want you to say a number first. If they say that, that's weird. That's kind of sketchy. And then I would give a number higher. I would say, well, I'm currently at this today. And maybe shoot aspirational, shoot, levels higher than where you're at today. But just keep in mind, the reason you don't want to do that is, and like I said, I don't think they're going to do that. But the reason you want to be careful not giving it a too crazy of an aspirational number is, if let's just say hypothetically their range is around 50K and you're sitting around that pay range now, maybe you're at 45 or something like that. But you say like something aspirational, like, well, I want to make 100 or I want to make 150. They're going to stop wasting their time. They're going to be like, oh, we're way too far apart. We can never go up that high. And so this person's never going to accept our offer. So I remove them from the process. So you got to be careful about that. You don't want to give something that's too out of the pocket for what they're willing to pay for that role. But again, you want them to volunteer the range before you give your number. It just allows you to make sure you're not leaving money on the table. And keep in mind, if the range is lower than what you're expecting, hiring managers can always go higher, right? So you're not negotiating it in that time. You can say, it's a little bit lower than where I'm at now, but I am interested in this role, your company, and growing in this industry. And so I'm willing to move forward and continue to explore the position. That's a way to answer that if it's lower, but you're identifying that that is lower. If it's in the pocket of what you want, or maybe it's on the low end of what you want, you can say, yeah, that's in range. It's closer to where I'm at today, but it's in range to make a jump, and just leave it there. Keep it vague. Again, you're not negotiating your salary until you get an actual offer. There's no point in doing it. It only hurts your chances of getting that offer. So don't negotiate. Just be vague about, yep, that's in range of what I'm looking for to make a jump, or that's in range of what I'm making today. Those are the two statements I would make. If you say it's in range of what I'm making today, it just indicates that like this would maybe be a lateral move, and you're probably going to negotiate higher if an offer comes, but you're not negotiating it there. So yeah, like I said, guys, bigger conversation, a lot of content around this type of question, because it's a strategy game, and you're just trying to understand numbers to not leave money on the table. So check out my other content, check out my website, and good luck, but do your homework as you go into this. Good luck, guys.